Alright, let's take that same file that we were just working on and let's go ahead and let's add a header across the top of the page. You'll also find this to be a very common type of layout, a page with 3 columns and a header across the top. So I'm just going to start with the exact same file that we used in the last exercise. Basically, it's really simple for me to add the header. It's only going to take a couple minutes. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add a new div, and I'm going to drop this div in right underneath my body tag. So I'll go in and I'll create a div. Alright, so let's assign the div an ID of header. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to create an h1 tag, and my h1 tag is going to have the information that I'm going to go ahead and put at the top of the page, and we'll go ahead and we'll just write something like, this is the header for the 3-column layout or something like that. Very exciting information that we'll have appearing here. And so if I save my page now and we refresh the page, you can see that it's basically already working. Let's go ahead and put some styles on here, and then we need to go back and discuss one issue that you may have. I'm not going to have it in this file, and I'll explain why shortly. But let's go ahead and let's make some CSS styles for our header so we can really kind of control this. I like to kind of keep my styles in some sort of order as how they actually appear in my page. You'll find a way that works for you. I know some people like to keep their CSS styles alphabetically organized, but as you get to have more complex layout, it is important to come up with something that's going to help you to be able to find your styles. When you have a CSS file with 100 styles, it gets hard to dig through, so I usually try to do them in the order that they appear. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to assign a height value to my header div of 60 pixels. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give a background color of my header div, and I'm going to use that same color that I used for my lines, that teal, blue, green, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to change the text color to make it a little more legible, and I'll just make my text color white. So if we save and refresh the page, you can see that now it looks like this. The header is just going to take up that whole area. It would look better to have my header text centered, so let's go ahead and let's assign that as well. I'll go ahead and I'll assign that to the H1, so I'm going to go ahead and make a style for H1 that is in the header only, and that style is basically going to be that I want to do a text align of center. And let's go ahead and save the page, and we'll refresh the page. So that looks pretty good. Everything is actually working fairly well for this particular layout. Now let me go ahead and just address an issue that you might run into. For our particular work, this looks okay. This could actually use to, it would look better if it was pushed down a little bit, but everything does fit. However, the reason that mine fits is because we already have set a lot of our top margin, and we're pushing things down. So for instance, in my right column, I have a top margin of 72, which is basically pushing that div down 72 pixels, which allows for this 60 pixel header to reside right here. If I, for some reason, did not have that there, so let's just put 0 pixels in there and save the page and refresh the page, you're going to see what happens is my absolutely positioned divs are going to basically flow behind or on top of the content of the header. So they're not actually positioning the way we want them to. In this particular instance, what you're going to definitely want to do is you're going to want to go ahead and make sure that any absolutely positioned divs are going to have a top position that is going to accommodate for your header bar. So if I just come back in here and I change the right column's top position to 60 pixels and we save, at least that is not going to start now until 60 pixels down. Actually, I didn't assign pixels. That looks like a lot more than 60 pixels. Let's just refresh that real quick. You can see that it starts right underneath my header. So I still want a little bit of a buffer there. So I'll come in here and we'll add in our margin again. Probably don't need 72. Let's just try 50 and see how that looks. And I reload my page, and now you can see that everything is lining up appropriately, and that is looking pretty good. So this kind of wraps up another simple way that you can create a 3-column layout. This one incorporates a header, and you can see that it didn't take very much to do this in our file.